Board. Hi! Welcome to yet another Toonkind 12 FPS. I will be your one and only player this time, Spec. And who am I playing? Well, that's to be a little bit of a surprise. Welcome to All the Lonely People. Now, our story here begins in the northern parts of Gisnep, specifically in a semi-open field area with mountains creeping on the edges. And it is absolutely pouring. The rain is falling, and the camera begins to guide us slowly as we follow the storm and we hear the thunder rolling to a single boy sitting in a cave by himself. Now he has wavy red hair and a light blue banana sitting around his neck, and he sits there and he is talking to a small murder of crows, about 6 of them actually, and he is looking out into the rain as he talks. Yeah. And he goes, now. I I told you before not to follow me. It's listen, I know that you care. I know you do, really. And he's instantly he who can understand them is instantly met with a chorus of our friend, our brat, as he sits there and just laughs at them. And his smile slowly fades, though, as he sits there, and he begins to gently tap his fingers against the ground. I am glad that you came and visited me. It's been getting lonely. I hope that he's doing good. I won't actually ask for details. I don't know if I want to know them, but hopefully he is. Something feels wrong. It started about 3 days ago, and I can't shake it. It's like, God, I haven't felt this way in about 5 years. It's like I know something should be happening, but nothing is happening. I can't figure it out. I can't figure out what's wrong. I his banana starts to turn a shade of purple on the edges as he begins to rub his forehead very gently before one of the birds with a little pendant around its neck. All of them do, but this one um, has one as well. And it hops over and very politely sits in his lap and gives a small, gentle rubbing. And he smiles softly and goes, "Okay, I won't stress. I understand. It's fine. It's fine. I God." Ugh. And he slams his fist down for a second as there's a flash of red on his banana before he just takes another deep breath and tries to get the bandana to turn to light blue. Okay, it's okay. I'm calming down. I'm calming down. It was just a minor burst of anger. You know how I get. I just. He looks back outside at the storm, and he sighs. I. I can't stay in here. You know I can't. This cave. I mean, yeah, it's shelter, but the moment night hits, because as of the moment the sun is setting, the moment night hits, it's going to be freezing up here, and I would prefer not to get sick. I know, it's almost impossible for me to get sick. I'm just that awesome and cool. But God, it'd be a shit ton of work trying to take care of myself after that. And he begins to look outside, and then he looks at the birds and he goes, but if I go out there, then I know all of you. I know all of you. You'll follow me because you do. And he smiles really softly, like, you affectionate little buggers don't want to leave me alone until you know I'm safe. You're just as bad as him, you know. You're just as bad as him. He, he you both, all of you worry too much. This is my area of expertise. I thrive in the storms. What I've trained for, it's what I was born for. Did you just, and yet you, and he starts to just shake his head again before he picks the one that hopped in his lap and gives a gentle head bump to it and goes, I love you. I really do. But why do you always insist on following me into storms? He takes a moment and he just sighs as he looks at the bird. And his bandana starts to turn a gentle shade of gray as he just tries to calm down. I understand that he worries about me, especially after everything, but I'm not nothing's gonna happen to me. I won't go missing too. I always respond to his letters when I can. I mean, I can't right now, I'm all out of paper and ink, but I always respond to them. He knows I'm okay. None of you better have told him about that time I got sick because I will come after you. I know where you guys go. Um, but it's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's fine. It's just he sighs as a burst of lightning strikes outside, but he doesn't flinch at it. In fact, he just sits up a little straighter. I'm strong enough to protect myself. And he does a little muscle pose. See, look at this. Look at these muscles. I have been training. I could do this. And of course he's just met with a wide variety of looks like, really? Really, brat? Brat, you fool. Which only causes him to start laughing as yellow creeps into his bandana before it turns back to that calming blue and gray. He starts to rub their heads very gently as he stands up and gives a small stretch. I can tell you if anything goes wrong, I'll find a way to contact you. You could stay here and I can go out there. It'll be fine. And he's instantly met with just more stares and he's like, you guys are not going to let me go out there by myself, are you? I can't believe I'm doing this. And so he decides to reach underneath his bandana, and he pulls out a backpack. It's nothing big, but it's empty, and he hopes it will do. Okay, okay. I'll make a deal with you. All right, we'll make a deal. We can negotiate. And he starts to pace a little as he starts talking. I will let you come with me, but all of you stay in the little backpack. You stay dry, because if any of you, I don't want any of you to get sick. You're not like me. You stay dry, and it'll be okay. It'll be fine. It will be fine. And then after we get to town, because there should be a town nearby, I'm very certain I saw one on the map. Once we get to town, then I'll be safe. You'll know I'll be safe, and you can leave me alone, so that I'm not stressing about any of you getting sick, or any of you getting hurt, or anything going wrong. I can't handle that. I don't need that. Please. Oh God, it would destroy him. So no. I love you, chat, but I need you to just I need you to just hop in the bag. And he opens the bag up, and there's a bit of hesitation before a couple of them, about 5 of them, hop in, and each of them giving like a gentle bump on his head first, before the 6th one sits outside and gives a very firm shake of the head. To which his bandana starts to turn a bit red as he kind of gives a look. Now, I said all of you, to which he is met with a beady eye staring at him. I said all of you! And the beady eye continues. I said, fine. Okay. You can stay on my shoulder. But you stay on my shoulder. Actually, better get, bandana. You will sit in the little hook of my bandana. You stay right there, okay? It will keep you dry. It will keep you warm. But you don't move from that. This way you can keep an eye out. And so he picks up the bag and he brings it close to his chest. Despite it being a backpack, he has no intention of putting it on his back. Because instead, as he lifts up the final 6th bird and lets him very gently rest on his bandana, he takes the bag of all the other birds, which is open on the top so they can poke their heads out if needed, and he tucks it underneath him so that he can protect them from the rain. And he stands at the entrance of the cave with the cold drops of water hitting his face And he lets out a long sigh as a smile starts to creep onto his face. And he just stands there for a moment, letting the edges of the rain brush against him, which is a great amount of calm considering outside it's blowing wind like crazy. There's no trees nearby, but what grass and sand remains is swirling around violently. And it's the area in front of him is but just a white sheet. He takes a sigh and he begins to step out. And the moment his foot steps out into the rain, a skip enters his walk. As he begins to make his way through, God, God, as he begins to make his way through the area. Now, as he walks, the rain beats hard against his back, and he keeps himself bunched over for sure, trying his best to keep them out of the storm. He starts to talk to the correction. He tries not to talk to any of them, but soon the silence and the swirling wind becomes too much, and it's silent, too quiet. So he begins to softly talk to the one crow that stays snuggled in his bandana. You know, I it's really funny that this is what I do now. You know, never thought this. Small hometown and then this walking through. Pretty sure Inkwell was trying to drown me slightly. Yeah. He laughs it off though, and his bandana flashes a little orange. Uh, he would rub the hand of the crow. I mean, not the hand, the head of the crow, the head of the crow very gently to reassure them, but he's trying to use both of his hands to keep a tight grip on the bag, which is he's stressed out about it blowing away as the wind just digs into all of them. His footsteps are a little off as he tries to keep going, stumbles a bit every once in a while, but he does his best to keep his firm footing as he walks through the rain, shirt flapping. As the camera pans out, you can see it is but a small silhouette just slowly trudging through the storm. Just him and his voice in the rain and these crows. I God, if none of you were here, I'd probably be dancing in this. I haven't seen one like this in a while. It doesn't help that feeling. It's like something's wrong. Like the area around me is trying to tell me that something's about to happen. Something did happen. Something is happening. I don't like it when the weather gets too bad all of a sudden. I hoped that things would be calmer, that maybe we could calm down some, but no, it's just and more purple begins to creep into his bandana again. It's like this sinking feeling. I hate it. I hate it whenever it happens. The red begins to overtake the purple. I just gosh, shit, crap, bastard. He just starts cursing as much as he can until it dissolves into just a bunch of Growlix. The storm picks up as he walks until there is a sudden gust of wind, and the little crow, resting gently on his bandana, is lifted away by the wind. And within a second, the red bandana turns into a bright purple, almost eye strain all the way as he stretches his hand out and grabs the little foot of the bird, and he stands there with one hand outstretched holding on to the crow, his other hand holding on to the bag, and his eyes wide as can be. No, wait! And he holds on as the wind balances and pushes and teeters him until he falls to the ground, curled up around this bag and this crow, trembling like a leaf. And he just holds them still. We're not moving. I don't care about the storm. I don't care about anything. We're not moving after that. We're not moving. 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 I'm not losing you, chat. I'm not losing you. We're not moving. And his bandana stays a bright purple as he curls as small as he can over this bag and crow. The wind beating against him, the rain pouring down. And he tries to take a deep breath. He tries his best to breathe. He looks at them. Okay, I need a head count. All of you. And he opens his eyes enough to see and check. And he looks. The one that the wind tried to take away is dripping wet, but alive, and that's what matters to him. The others are mostly fine, a little razzled, and the one that was trying to sit outside doesn't even argue. He simply looks at them with tears in his eyes, and the final six bird hops into the bag as well. As he stays there and lays curled up on the ground over these crows until for as long as it takes. Minutes, hours. He doesn't even count. All he focuses on keeping them dry and ignoring the storm around him as his shirt billows up around him and the cold feeling of the rain stays there until slowly the wind begins to lessen up enough that his shirt simply ruffles and the rain starts to slow until very faintly in the distance he can see a shadow of buildings. He takes a deep breath. He tries to calm himself down. By now, his bandana has become a solid gray color, and his eyes have dulled slightly. He's lost a bit of saturation, but it's not from the weather. No, it's from the fear, the overwhelming fear that these crows were going to get hurt and it was going to be all his fault. He couldn't. He forces himself to take another breath. All right, everyone. Okay, chat. We've got this. It's fine. I can see the town now. The wind's calmed down. Just please, I need all of you to stay here, please. And he stands back up, wobbling slightly. He's sore. Everything hurts at this point, but they're alive, and that's what he focuses on now. He's calm now. In fact, there's this empty calmness. His face becomes neutral. He presses his lips into a thin line, and he raises his head. All right, we can make this. I can see it. We're gonna get there, and then all of you are going back to him. And I want you to very distinctly tell him to please not send you all if any of you know I'm going to be near a storm. Please. And so he begins to walk. It's a lot slower now, and he stumbles slightly as he tries to get there. His bandana stays that gentle gray until finally, by the time he reaches the town, it's become a soft violet. Again, not a purple, but a violet at least. When he stands in the town, he notices how empty it is and realizes he must be the only person crazy enough to be out in this weather. Or at least what was the weather. By now, it's become a soft drizzle, and he takes a deep breath. Okay. All good. We made it. He tries to stop the trembling of his hands, but they shake, and he takes another deep breath before they're still. And he stands there. Okay. All right. A giant grin bursts onto his face as he crouches down on the ground and begins to help the crows out of the bag, taking each of them and cupping them in his hand very gently before placing them on the ground. All right, we made it. We made it back. It's all right. Everything's good. It's all good. And he very, very, very slowly takes the final one out the one that had almost blown away, and he does a final check over. He very carefully lifts the wings up, and he checks underneath the little uh can't think of the word um marking underneath where they have their pendant that all of them share. And he checks there, and he spends a good couple minutes just holding this one in his hands, gently rubbing them, trying his best to warm them up. It's slow, but finally he's able to let go. All right, guys. See, I told you it was no problem. I made it. Fine. Just a bit of a storm. Just a bit of a storm, but by the gods, please don't follow me again. I'm fine. Okay, it's been like what, a year or two at this point. I know he worries that if you don't check up on me every so often, then when you do check up, you won't be able to find me. But I'm not going to leave any of you. I'm here. I'm here. I don't want to be like that bastard. Shitty piece of sad excuse for pile of ink is what he is. That's what the bastard is. But I'm not like him. Care about my family. That's a thing. Wonder if you knew what that felt like. His hands curl into fists as that red starts to creep into the edge of the gray bandana, and again, or it's a swirling mix of gray and red. The violet's trying its best to stay there, but it's not doing too well. I I will be fine. Okay, I will be fine. Just I we don't need another scare like that. I mean, imagine how worried he would have been if one of you didn't come back. Talk about taking care of me. Take care of yourselves. I'm just disappointed in all of you, really. I'm just severely disappointed. He begins to shake his head and rub the bridge of his brow. Gosh, just absolutely disappointed. I expected better from all of you, really, chat. It's heartbreaking. I'm gonna be honest, it's heartbreaking. Um he gives a small smile before he stands up, and his smile just for a second twitches. All right. I'm safe now. I'm in the town. There's a inn right there. I'll go and pay. I have enough money from the last time I did a little task. I It's fine. I'll be able to pay for it. And most of the chat gives him a look, but he smiles and goes, "Promise," as he carefully places a hand behind and crosses his fingers. "I promise you don't have to worry at all. Nothing's wrong." And he's given a longer look before he sighs and holds both of his hands up. "Okay, okay, you got me this time." God, you were all as bad as him. I remember when that worked. And he also was like, "Okay, I will do my best to find shelter within the next hour in this town somewhere, and I will rest. I'll get something warm to drink, get some blankets. I'll dry off, okay?" And he looks at them for it's almost like a staring contest at that point as they lock eyes. And finally, most of them begin to flap their wings and fly off. The only one which remains is the same stubborn one that nearly gave him a heart attack earlier. And he rubs the brow of his head as he picks them up. "Listen, okay, you're a little attached little bugger, aren't you?" "Oh gosh, can't believe you. But you're big as a prick as him." He smiles and laughs, and it's meant affectionately as he very gently lays his head against the crow. Listen, I'm okay, as long as you're okay. Okay? And there's a hesitation before the final crow picks up its wings and shakes around a bit to dry off anything that's left before it too flies off and joins the rest of the murder, leaving the boy standing alone. He stands there for a moment, his bandana shifting to a calming blue again as he stares at where the murder flew off and slowly curls his hands into a fist. Okay. All right. They're taken care of. And okay, next order of business. Find a place to stay. And then maybe I could find something to do around here. Especially if they're plagued by storms like this. That's probably something I can do. And he begins to ramble to himself slowly as he walks before he hears a slight flapping noise. And he turns his head and looks around in confusion. There's nothing he can see making the noise at first, and his brow furrows slightly as he tries to figure out where it's coming from. The town is not. God, that's a nat one. The town. The town is mostly empty. There's not a single person in sight, and he assumes, based off the slight flickering of light he can see in some of them, that, as suspected, there's people outside, but he can't find the source of the noise. And it's like there's this chill on his back. At first he's certain it's just the rain, it's just what's left of the rain, but it grows until it's almost, his bandana begins to turn a deep shade of purple. Something is wrong. Something's not right. He starts to wander around the town, following the sound, until he finds a single newspaper flapping around on a post. It's falling apart and crumbling, and most of the words have become smudged. But he is curious. He's a nosy child, and he walks over and picks it up. The article reads in all bold letters, "Mad villain destroys paradise," or "catastrophic accident." And his head tilts slightly as his bandana turns a slight shade of violet, and he begins to read what he can that's left on the paper. Sources report that the cleanup efforts are progressing slowly but steadily in the 2 weeks since the incident. Eyewitnesses have claimed they saw a figure with several burly goons approach the main suspects. The next words are blurred, so he tries to scrunch his eyes, but he can't, and so he just keeps reading these snippets, which read, several large bundles of TNT were exchanged, much tension in the air, uncertain if it was a business deal gone wrong or extortion. And his hands begin to shake as he realizes that this isn't good news at all. At some point, conflict broke out between the groups. The one locals were more familiar with appearing to be the aggressor after voices were raised. A spark was lit, igniting the TNT. More blurs. Weapons were drawn, 2 goons being taken down with the leader of the gang, an unknown individual with ram horns being the primary target of the suspect. And then more blurs as his hands begin to tremble, and that feeling which has been settling on him for the past few days begins to grow inside his chest. It burns and he can't shake it. Many injuries reported, massive structural damage. Unknown how only one life was lost amidst such destruction. And then the final line that he can read. Rumors of seeing the apparently presumed deceased Jubilee Yukon leaving the scene have not been corroborated. And his hands freeze as his bandana lights up bright red. And blue begins to swirl in it as his hands tremble, and he closes his eyes before they begin to tighten until the newspaper crumbles under the weight of his hand and the rain which drenches it, and he begins to just sneer. His back raises, and slowly the blue is completely consumed by red. He reaches slowly into his hammer space and pulls out a single compass. A compass which every time he had checked it for 3 years had spun in circles non-stop. He stares at the compass, which is pointing in a singular direction, heading out of town. That bastard! The bastard! The bastard! And slowly the rain begins to mix with tears as he lets go of the newspaper, and his back arches as he holds onto the compass so tight he's sure it's gonna crack, but it doesn't. It stays strong. He trembles. He's alive. That piece of shit. And he looks into the edge of the town, the opposite direction that the crows left in. And he can't see anything for miles, and he knows he won't be able to. But as he stares down at that compass and sees how strong it points, of course, Yukon, just like him, the heckin' piece of shit. I'm gonna kill that bastard. And he begins running in the direction of the compass. All right, and thank you all for joining me for All the Lonely People. I hope you enjoyed the FPS, and maybe you'll see more of this peculiar boy soon. That's all, and thank you all to my current listeners for sitting through with me on this, and thank you to all my future